to
Hello,
the stream.
I'm Seamless, and today is Saturday, which means it's time for the next Seamless Live. Today, we have Varien. Hopefully, somewhere. I'm doing this again. Actually, he's above me. There's only one up direction. Say hi, Varian.
Hi. What's up?
Awesome. Varian is very good at making music. He's a good music guy, among other things. And one of the things that he's particularly good about is that he knows music theory. And I have a pretty okay grasp on music theory, but I'm not super great at explaining it to people. So today is that day.
I don't know anything about music theory, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Awesome. So I guess that means we're making a big
Sorry.
house track.
Stream's over, guys. We're going home. I just came here to make jokes. Yeah, so, I mean, we can start this any way you want, talking about atmosphere building or music theory or whatever, man.
All right. Well, pick a thing that you think is good for people to know, and just sort of talk about that, and we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm like a father because every single video and every tutorial, and I've been doing private sessions lately, I'm constantly like, now, before you start making really good music, you need to learn music theory. And people are like, okay, Dad, I guess I'll sit down and learn my scales and my keys and stuff. And like, it's not as rewarding as like, oh, learning sidechain compression. Yeah, fuck yeah, that sounds good. It's like music theory is more academic. And
It is
that's
pretty academic.
it's a turnoff for people that it's academic. But it's so crucial because I mean, people like wonder, like, oh my God, Varian, how did you make this full track in like 2 hours? And it's like, honestly, it's just because, when you know music theory well, you create melodies like as they happen, like as you're writing it, first or second take, that's your melody. Like the melody for Lilith, one take. The melody for Metalworks and all these other tracks I've done, usually one or two takes, just da 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 da. And yes, it's, as someone just said in the chat, it's very hard to get started. It's very overwhelming, but that's why I did that series. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat.
That's fine.
That's why I did a YouTube like theory week, and it starts at like just notes on the keyboard and works its way up to just basic chord progressions, and then from there you can get into some more advanced stuff. But if you know your basics and you just work at it often, you'll start to hear that, you'll start to hear what sounds good. And a lot of people do that anyways, like, oh, I just pick notes that sound good. But you can skip the picking notes parts and you can just do it, and that saves you literally hours and hours of making it sound okay, making it sound good. You know exactly what you want.
Yeah. When I first started like making music, I didn't really have a huge grasp of theory, but like I knew like what notes were because I had piano lessons as a kid.
Right.
But like what this really boils down to is that I wasn't really familiar with the idea of scale degrees, which is helpful when you're able to identify like what a melody is in your head, because that's like the principal complaint about people that don't have a grasp of music theory, is that when they hear music in their head they want to make, and they don't have the first idea of like what the sounds and the notes in their head actually are. And the first step that I would suggest onto learning that is being able to work with the idea of scale degrees.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How have you traditionally explained scale degrees to people?
Scale degrees meaning, because like, that can mean a few things. What are you talking about?
I mean, like when I say things like, oh, the melody is like the 1, the 2, and the 3, and then a 4 kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, I always learned by like the half whole, like methodology. So like whole half, whole half, whole half, that kind of thing. Right. And just translating that into like whatever note you start on, like that's the root note.
Yeah. So like what Varian's talking about is on a keyboard, like I have this piano roll open. Actually, let's look at a not vertical keyboard. So on the keyboard here, if I were to do like the C major scale, because we have white keys and black keys, and so that means that in any given octave there's 12 or 11 notes depending how you look at it. But let's just do 12, considering the top and the bottom are basically the same note, but just in different octaves. You can see where I have problems explaining this. And so on the C major scale, oops, I missed one.
Yes.
I fucked up the C major scale, ladies and gentlemen. That is like the idea of the major scale is broken up into a particular sequence of half steps and whole steps.
Right.
And so a half step is the immediate next note, white key or black key. So, and C, the first half step would be C sharp. And then a whole step is two keys in any way. So like a whole step from C is D. And like a more complicated version would be like if a whole step from E is actually F sharp. Because it's two keys ahead of it.
Right.
So that means that a certain sequence of halves or whole steps create a scale. So in the case of the major scale, not just C major, but literally any major scale, it's
whole, half, whole,
so
whole.
So it's whole, half, whole, half. And that's the scale.
Yeah.
That's,
and honestly, like a lot of this stuff, it becomes so second nature to you. It's not like I sit there and I go, whole, half, whole. No, I just I know what C major is because I've been playing it for very long and I can identify it by hearing it. So all these people who kind of worry about getting, it becoming too complicated, don't worry about it. It becomes second nature and it becomes part of your mind frame. As you're composing. So.
When I was doing piano lessons, the way that they would teach me scales and like for songs is that like if I knew the song was gonna be like someone just said why is G sharp major so complicated? Like if I was doing G sharp major, starting there, like that's a whole lot of weird notes and weird like black key and white key combinations. And like
especially F sharp major and B flat minor, which are the same notes. That's the craziest one because it has a lot of C sharp.
I'm not doing the whole thing.
Okay.
Then so like in order to get that, what I would do is I would drill the scale so that like for that little moment, that like hour that I'm practicing that song, all like my brain is in G sharp major mode. And in college, I took some like ear training and music theory classes, and that's pretty much what they have you do is they would have you drill everything, every single thing, so that no matter what you're doing, you're just automatically familiar with it. And that's that's a way to do it, but for all the stuff that you're likely to do in like EDM and like the kind of music that is popular anyway, you likely don't need to get that complicated with it.
But I would argue that you should, because all of the EDM that I think is interesting is also melodically rich and full of interesting progressions, especially like Seven Lions, AU5. These guys are classically trained, and you can hear it. You can hear that they know their shit. They know that fucking Zed is
stuff in particular.
Zed is phenomenally, talented at coming up with great melodies. But do we have any questions in the chat room about what we're talking about with theory? And yes, we'll get to ambience. I definitely want to talk about that. We'll dedicate a good chunk of time to that.
Yeah, Varien is going to be all about that. So let's take a second to read some chat questions, and then we'll move on to taking viewer calls, because we do that. George just asked, so does that come down to ear training plus theory or theory alone? Ear training is basically just a way of learning theory.
Yeah.
It's a particular method. It's a method that I like. And it's good for learning things like when I was talking about scale degrees earlier, what I mean is like being able to identify, like if you listen to a melody, to identify that the melody is, it starts on the 5 and then it goes down to the 4 and then goes to 2 and then the minor 3 and like that kind of thing. Being able to know that. And that's a result of ear training with intervals. Because if you know the root note of a key, like if it's C, then like you know that the 5 of C is G. And then like the next note you hear, if it's B flat, that's a 3, a third, a minor third above G. So like that, knowing that kind of stuff is most easily trained from ear training.
Yep. And honestly, it depends on your definition of ear training, because also ear training for me goes beyond just sitting in front of a keyboard. It also is a lot of just listening to music and not like hearing it, not just being like, yeah, cool track, but like actually like, all right, what is the bass doing? Okay, and then we, go back and then, okay, what's the lead doing? And how are they sort of dancing? How are they sort of going together? And
How are they related?
okay, is there any shit in the background, which is the ambience part? Like, is there any cool sounds? And ear training isn't necessarily part of theory, but I recommend it as like part of like the regimen.
I like your description.
I still do ear training. I still like listen to music and I'm like, how do they get that feel? And then you just listen very intently.
Yeah, ear training, like the progression of it is usually they'll start you off doing two note
Hmm.
chords, being like, okay, what's the interval there? But then they start doing triads, and then they start doing seven chords, and like that gets hard. That gets
Right.
interesting. So I also like your definition of the word ambiance being the shit that's in the background. I like
Yeah.
I like that. That's Oxford will call you up in a minute.
Yes, yes, of course. Well, I mean that's I guess, I'm gonna lead right into talking about ambience. We'll come back to theory
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
because
Well, before we move on, let's take viewer calls. If anyone has any particular question they want to ask about music theory before we move on to doing ambiance, which I'm going to continue to say it like that because yeah,
the background genre.
ambient, the background genre. Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
All right. Daniel Henson.
Antelope music.
Hello.
Oh, never mind.
Hello.
Continue. Okay.
Hi.
Can you hear
What
me?
what is your question?
All right, I have a few questions. Like I'm just gonna say the main one. About trance, dance, and dubstep chords and progressions for that.
You
What of
want to
them?
know about what makes like so what are some good chord progressions in those genres or
No, I have to go help.
I'll
someone's
come back
done?
later. I'm sorry. I have to go help with the groceries.
Well, you enjoy
Yes. I'm right next to
that.
Sucks.
All right. Thank you for your call. We will endeavor to answer your question.
All right, just send a message, I guess.
All right.
Oh, this is amazing, dude. Oh.
All right. So
Okay, I'm
I
good.
believe the question was
Dude, that was almost trolling.
trance, dance,
Ah.
and dubstep chord progressions. So like so progressions. How do
Hold
they
on.
work?
Sorry. I gotta
Varian,
stop looking
relax.
at the chat. All right, I'm blocking the chat with my Skype window. So seriously, because people are like trying to troll me into like breaking my zen. Fuck you guys. Trance, dance, and dubstep. Okay, well, trance uses a lot of well, first of all, you're going to be wanting to use a lot of minor key tonality in any sort of EDM besides like gabber and happy hardcore and shit like that, you know? Trance chords,
Seven chords.
you want to do really luscious ones, almost including like a minor seventh, like jazz chords. Um, I don't know, dude. Trance is all about making big, big, wide chords, so like multi-octave chords.
All right. Let's try it. I'm just gonna put one on. Okay. This is an
So-
E minor 7 chord right here. Not with the low notes. Let's not do that. All right. And what I've got here is I have a 1, a 5, and then a 1, and then a 3, and then a 7. Now, those are the
Yeah.
scale degrees that I was talking about right there. And in this case,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
means an E, a B, another E, a G, and a D. And that makes a minor 7 chord.
And that D, yeah, and that D is like is what makes it sound jazzy. But in the context of trance, using, I mean, the first fucking chord, the chord in Zed's Clarity is a C minor, but it has an A flat in the bass.
In the bass.
Right.
Okay, so that's an inversion of some kind, isn't it? Yeah, that's a 7 inversion.
Yes, exactly my point.
Ah,
Play it.
that.
You want to put the the A flat an octave lower though. That doesn't sound right to me.
Do you mean the G? Like, was it maybe the G in the bass?
Well, no, it's A flat in the bass, and then you've got C, E flat, and G. I want to put the D in your A. Yes, indeed. And break the G string. Yes, that whole joke.
We got a lot of that going on when I did the stream series, but when I was making a track live because I did it in D, and I was like, I like it in D, and that didn't go away.
No. It's just... So that's the main. Zed also does a lot of stuff with B flat or with that chord. He adds it just randomly, and I wish I had something I could just. That sucks. Could have gotten a live concert out of this. But Varien, talk about Nordic death metal with a hint of Swedish pop orchestral. That's my next song, actually, and I'm not even kidding. It is actually Nordic metal with orchestral influence.
Damn.
Anyways, so do we have any other callers want to ask things about music theory?
All right, let's have
that
one more
aren't
caller.
Go do groceries and trip me up like that.
Let's have one more caller about theory, and then we'll move on to the ensuing topics.
Yes.
One more caller about theory. Bring on the callers. Future duck solving chamber influence.
I don't know what that is.
All right.
But that's cool. That's cool.
Chris Weidman. Hello, Chris.
Hi. I got a question about how my mixing stuff is. It's kind of like my first time. Very nice to meet both you and Varien. Well, what my question is that recently with my music, I've been taking close listens to them, and the only result I've gotten is that I have most of the bass filled in, some of the mids. Sorry, I kind of have this block with my vocabulary stuff. Most of the mids filled in, but barely any of the high frequencies, like sort of in clarity type of speaking. And apologies if my mic is a little too loud.
Your mic is fine.
You're fine, dude.
All right. So your question is about mixing.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Well, do you have any questions about music theory?
I would take a look at Varien's videos, but apparently since I've been slacking so much, I'm kind of too lazy to.
Well,
you're lazy, bro.
I do recommend that you watch Varien's videos. If you guys haven't, if this wasn't something you knew about, Varien has tutorials about music theory, which is good.
And I have a mixing tutorial, but it's on drums. And just to answer your question real quick, dude, pick an instrument that's got higher frequencies if you want to fill it out. Don't worry about equalizing everything and making everything bright artificially. Pick an instrument or a sound that's got naturally high frequencies, and it'll sort of gel with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's kind of the thing. With the material what I have with Dry, it really isn't that great. I don't have any of the big stuff like massive FM8. Apparently I can't afford that. Plus, I don't know the currency conversions between euros and US dollars.
That's important.
Yeah. Plus, I'm only 14, so...
You're 14 and you have a deeper voice than me.
Your voice is pretty not like a 14-year-old.
I actually hit puberty in 3rd grade. That's why pre-puberty.
Why do I feel like all these calls are just going to be trolls?
All right. Well, thank you for your call, Chris.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
I don't think these guys are intentionally being trolls, because
it's so funny. I can tell just on the phone, like just the way they speak. I don't. It's. I love it. Bring it.
Well, this is actually going better than most of the time that we get calls, so I feel pretty good about it. Okay, I swear to God, someone call us with a question about music theory, so we can move on.
You don't have to anymore. This isn't about music theory anymore. Ingier.
I will control this. I control everything. You
Good
just see
job
me.
trying to control internets or chat rooms, dude.
Ah. All right, this guy's
Um,
calling again. I like this guy.
so how do you know if the chord and the scale, like the
Hello,
fourth?
I'm back.
Hold on a second. Varian's reading a chat question.
I have a question. It's about music theory. To Seamless and Varien, do you have the perfect ear? It's just a curious question. So it just means that if you play a note on the keyboard or somebody play a note on the keyboard, can you recognize it without even thinking? Because it's just a question I have.
Okay.
Let's try it. Play some notes.
All right. Okay, hold on. Well, okay, he's not looking at the notes. All right.
A.
It is.
Can you play it again? Oh, so I'm sorry. That's E.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you knew the first one was A, you should. All right, hold on. I gotta like. All right, ready?
Play chords. Play chords. It's my
Play chords.
favorite.
All right, hold on. I can actually play things, so I gotta like write them. I gotta write them out. All right. Hold on, I gotta mute it so you don't actually hear me making the chord. So I'm gonna do a kind of hard one to start off with.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Is that? Can you play it again? I mean, that's a minor seventh chord. I want to say it's F minor 7.
Close. It's a G minor 7.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go for it. Give me some more hard ones. We'll
All
do
right.
2 more.
Two more.
I'm probably
All right.
disproving this notion of having perfect pitch. Notes are easy, but I like to do chords because it's a challenge.
Yeah, I don't have perfect pitch at all. Like I can't even. Like I'm pretty good with intervals, but I can't like do like what he's doing presently. Okay, hold on. Let's C. Shit, I just said it out loud. Never mind. All right, moving to chord. Ooh. Okay, this is gonna be good. Ready?
Yep. It sounds like it's E flat minor 7, but it sounds like you put the 7th instead of an octave up, an octave below.
It is the 7 chord, but actually what it is, it's a D. It's a D major 7, first inversion.
Oh, okay.
I put the 1 on top.
Excellent. Okay. My eyes are tired from closing. But
Awesome.
yeah, perfect pitch is something you can develop. All you have to do is take a note, like for every note, play a note. So that's F. So for F, I have the Aztec theme from Donkey Kong 64. Da, na, 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 na. And then if I went to F sharp, that's the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. If I went to G, that would be what's that song from Pokemon? Da, na, 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 da, na, 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 from the first one. Anyways, the point is I make up a song, like a little quick song for every note there is. And again, now it's just become second.
Training, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's just training.
Cool town. All right. I think we've exhausted our music theory for the day. We
can talk about ambience, everybody.
Yeah, that seems to be what everyone's after. So let's do that. All right, what you got?
There's your ambience. Sample that.
I could, but I'm not going to. All right, what you got about ambiance? And how much of it is reverb?
A lot of it, believe it or not. A lot of it is, but honestly, and this is going to sound really like hippie-ish, but ambiance and all of that stuff is a mindset. It's a state of mind you have to put yourself in. Like you can't think about music in terms of left or right when you're thinking about making ambience. you have to think about it in a three-dimensional way. You have to think about sounds in the foreground and sounds in the background. And
Layers.
yes, and it's very much layering. It's very much reverb and delay and sort of picking the right sounds that go together. You know, it's all about but for me, making specific soundscapes, if you want to call it that, it's about, I mean, anyone who listens to my music knows that all of my songs have a, a story behind it. And usually when I'm making the ambience in that song, I close my eyes and I try to imagine myself there. So for my one of my latest songs, Baphomet's Casino, it's about a nightclub in like the underworld, and so it's like, hey, what does that sound like? What's going on? If you walked into a nightclub in the underworld, what would you hear if you closed your eyes? Well, you would hear, you know, um, casino noises. You'd hear the cards, being shuffled and wine glasses clinking, and you would hear all these people talking, which is like the demonic whispers, and you just try to like blend it all together so it's one cohesive thing. It's one cohesive space that when you strap on headphones, you're there. You don't have to like think about it. You're there. It's like, oh man, I can touch almost. It's like a sensory thing. Like I exist in this. It's so. I sound like I'm on drugs, don't I?
A little bit.
I sound fucking high.
You do.
I'm not.
As
I'm
someone
not.
in the chat had said, much zen.
I just play a lot of
many
video
space.
games, and I want to live in that world. Or I watch a lot of movies, and I'm like, I want to. So.
Well, my experience with Ambience is less to do with the sort of psychoacoustic standpoint that Varian's been talking about. It's mostly just about, for me, it's about high frequency presence, because it's not something that I tend to focus on in terms of like the sound design that I make. I'm very mid heavy kind of thing, and like you might be thinking, well, that's a mixing thing. What's that got to do with Ambience? Well, it's like how whenever anyone usually talks about filling out a mix, they tell you to put white noise in it. They're just like just white noise everything. White noise your snare, white noise like your bass modulation, white noise just the universe. And
Right.
that's an ambiance thing. That's like your ears want to hear that. Like it feels
Right.
good when you hear that kind of stuff going on, and that's part of it, in my opinion.
Well, even with EDM, like with my drops, and I really want to do this. I want to show you guys what Toothless Hawkins sounds like without the wobbles, because it's its own song. It's so cool. When I get like the basic idea for like how I want my basses to sound, I strip out just the basses, or I strip out the basses and I just leave the drums, right? And I write a song, a quieter song underneath everything. So I'll have synths playing in the same key, and I'll have cool little drum fills, and I'll have like little vocal things. And you know what? Like when you put the basses back, you can't hear it fully, but it's there. It takes up space. Again, that notion of space, that notion of depth. And no one will ever appreciate that cool ass vibraphone solo I wrote underneath Toothless Hawkins, but it's there. It's there. Let me answer some of these chat questions because I got a few good ones. Everyone's talking about Nordic metal, and it's so funny you say that because I've been making Nordic influence stuff. I've been doing a lot of bagpipe stuff and acoustic, like Gaelic stuff.
Gaelic horror music?
What's that?
Gaelic horror music.
Actually, not so much of the horror vibes. Gaelic epic, Viking battleground type stuff.
It's pretty good. Very monomarth.
Yeah. Well, I'm a lot of my music that I'm working on now is very Nightwish, very Trans-Siberian Orchestra type stuff.
I can dig it.
Dude, it's very, very epic. But let's see. Go to VST. Contact 5.
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
have
if
that?
you listen to his, especially if you look at the breakdowns for his tracks, it's like every other thing he does is some instrument that he found or layered in there, like a guitar
Yeah.
synth like library and all this stuff, which I thought was very interesting. The first time I ever saw like a breakdown for his thing, like the Lilith thing was actually the first one that I watched because people were pointing it out to me. He's like, this guy used your sounds. I'm like, what? And because Lilith in that track, he experimented with Harmer, and
Yep.
I watched that video and like I'm used to very like synthesis point of view. Like I do as much as I can, or like all that I do is synthesis stuff, and then Varian just is like everything, just all the things, and it's just full of all the recorded instruments ever made, and so Contact would be good.
Well, that's my specialty, dude. Like, I've only been producing for 4 years coming up, but I've been writing
Damn, dude.
songs for close to 12 now.
Oh,
And so when I come into the mind that I want to write a song, it is going to be more composition based. So that's why I spent like $20,000 worth of sample libraries this year, is because I know that I need the best quality instruments to get my ideas out. And then the synths can come after that, because I would rather have awesome organic sounds and then have not so good synths than like awesome synths and like a shitty piano. Like that would irk
FL
me
keys.
too. Yeah, yes, exactly. How much is in that hard drive space? I have 3 dedicated externals, and it equals to about 8 terabytes of sample libraries.
That's a lot.
How did I make the vocal in Morphine? How I do my girl voice is you drop all the bass from your voice. So right now I have bass in my voice. If you were to bring up an equalizer, you could see there's like a sub, and that's due to testosterone. But if you drop your voice like this, and you pitch it up 2 semitones, you'll find that there is no bass, and you quite sound like a girl. And then you can pitch it up some more and sound like a little girl. So pitch that up 2 semitones, and you'll get the...
Hold on, I'm totally gonna do this.
Yeah, do that. Do this while I talk about Coma. I've been trying to get her on this track for friggin' forever. Like this. And she just doesn't reply to me.
And you
It's
pitch
so
it
weird.
up 2 semitones, you'll find that there is no bass, and you quite sound like a girl.
Wow, that was effective.
So Morphine was just so addictive, and then you just pitch that up 2 semitones, 3 semitones.
Crap. You know what? Fine, I'll go here. Let's see. H. Wait, hold down here.
Drop your voice.
See, now this is kind of a non sequitur, but I've wanted to try doing this. I haven't had an excuse to yet, which is to actually use Harmer as a vocal morpher for
Interesting.
almost this exact purpose.
Yeah.
Ever since I found out that the I Am Legion track "Choosing for You," like that
I'm
choosing for you, that voice is sampled from Half-Life 2. It's G-Man, like at the very end, where he's like, instead of giving you the illusion of choice, I've taken the liberty of choosing for you.
Oh.
And like I streamed Half-Life 2, and then I played, and when I got to that point, I was like, that's where that's from. Oh. And
I wonder how much that license was to use just that choosing for you. I wonder if Valve was like $10,000 for that.
I don't know that they could prove. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but like I don't know, like legally if that matters. But if it did,
Right.
Valve might not have cared or like asked for money.
Nah, they care about, and especially Noisia with like how much they bank. They're gonna clear all their samples. Trust me.
I hope they do. God.
I got a question. Let's see. Will I ever do something that's a mix between Morningvale, Meadows, and Lilith, Game Scory, and Zelda-esque? Yeah, it's that track I keep telling you about that I shouldn't be telling you about.
Drop your voice like this, and you pitch it up 2 semitones. Drop your voice.
That's weird. It sounds like a...
Drop your voice like this.
Wow.
Up 2 semitones. So pitch that up 2.
So
That's where you were doing your real voice.
so track 3 revealed. I cannot say the other track. I absolutely cannot. I'm under contract. But you'll hear it this month, so who cares?
Whoa. Okay, hold on. That's not a semi-tone.
So pitch that up to semitone. So pitch that up. So pitch that up to sem. So pitch that up to semitone. Drop your voice like this, and you pitch it up 2 semitones.
Yeah, well, I'll mess with that later. But that's something I'm gonna try.
Well, my girlfriend's in the other room, so she's probably like, there he goes again.
There he goes, being a girl.
Shit. Doing weird shit. Yeah, and the voice in Toothless Hawkins, ladies and gentlemen, that's also me. 1, 2, 3, 4, it's also me. But the seduction bass, honestly, dude, it's not that hard. If you want it that bad, I'll give it to you. It's just like, I think it's Scrapyard again. I'm obsessed with Scrapyard. I think it's the best wavetable ever.
Scrapyard is full of stuff.
You want to see my girlfriend? Go away.
You shouldn't have mentioned that.
Well, I mean, there's never mind.
Here, fun fact for using Massive in FL Studio. If you go into the little wrapper settings here, there's this button here that says "Don't allow keyboard focus." If you click on that, then whenever you move a knob, it won't stop you from. What the hell just happened?
You're not streaming FL. I can't see it on the.
Oh shit! I forgot about that. My bad. Boink. Okay, backtracking. So you know how I'm just gonna replace this Massive with a new one so I can redo what I'm doing. So you know how when you have Massive,
like squintless. Sorry.
Quiet. You have Massive, and you have the keyboard. You can like play notes or whatever. But then like, the second you change anything,
right?
Actually, that's doing its job right there. Watch it not. Yeah. Okay. So
I know you're talking about.
You change it and then like it freezes and it's bad. It's just like now you gotta go back to the actual window for it to do it. But then you can do it again. Well, if you go into the wrapper settings window up here and click on don't allow keyboard focus, it basically solves that problem.
Wow.
So you can actually change whatever parameters you want and do things while you're actually playing with it on the keyboard, and it won't freak out.
That is really cool, dude.
Yeah.
So let's. Are you as high as Seamless's music knowledge? Is that English? Yes.
Are you as high? Let's just say yes. Let's go with yes.
Yes.
Seamless. Have you fully learned how to use Massive yet? Listen to all the wavetables. Not even a little. Not even at all. At some point, I probably am going to learn Massive. I'll have Sean teach me because he's like the Massive guy. But I don't like Massive.
I don't know if I'm going to be doing a breakdown for Immortal Kiss because I have 2 computers that I work off now, and the reason I haven't been able to do tutorials is because all my tutorial stuff is on my computer, which doesn't have microphones or anything. Like, you're directly hooked up to it. Like, there's like a live room and stuff, but nothing up close. And then there's this one, which is my home laptop, which has none of my contact libraries, none of my project files, but it has full, recording capabilities. So I can't combine them.
Yeah, what I do to make the stream work is not exactly simple.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult.
Let's see.
Let's take some viewer calls because we seem to be doing questions.
Call us.
So let's have calls. Let's do that.
Yes,
Who's
I did the
calls?
Skrillex Orchestral Suite, and that was a long time ago, and my skills have gotten better since then.
Calls.
You like my forehead? Check it out, bro.
It's a pretty good forehead. All right.
It's forehead out of 10.
Oh, that's bad. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. What is your question, Badushikiki?
Yeah. So my question was, how do you make an intro like in Skrillex? I'm gonna try it out. Neon mix. That's all crackling vinyl sound, and that lead synth. That, like the atmosphere in that intro it's really light and really bright. So
Right. I love
just was wondering, how do you make that?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, thinking about it, he does it in a lot of his songs. Just in that song, it really stands out because I don't know why, but Skrillex just he layers a lot of synths. So where I'm more sound design based, I have a lot of cool sounds that are reverbed and sort of layered. He has arpeggios. He has little plucks that only pluck one time at the beginning of every measure, and it's reverbed out. And it just makes this wall of harmony, basically. And then he just brings the volume down, makes the drums stand out and the vocals stand out. And that's why you have this, it's not just chords being held out and there's this vocal lead. It's this entire intro package. And it's fucking awesome. And so I guess my advice is to play with different types of synths, but bring them way in the background and make sure they're in the same key and the same chord progression and stuff, but just layer a bunch of different stuff, arpeggios, one hits, chords, stuff like that. Does that help?
Yeah, that did actually. Well,
Excellent.
at least now I know where to begin from. But the only thing is that crackling sound at the beginning, that's that ambience.
Well, for the vinyl thing, there's a plugin. I think Isotope made it. It's called Isotope Vinyl.
I don't like it, dude. No, let me tell you. Just go to freesounds.org. Freesound.org, actually.
Freesound.org.
And yeah, it's a phenomenal site where it's royalty-free samples and just a bunch of different vinyl ones and just kind of put it together. But it's I wouldn't recommend Isotope vinyl. It's a little bit unpredictable, and I like my
it's kind of hard to use.
If you listen to a song I made called Reflection, it's very burial sounding. It's got a lot of vinyl cracking, and that's how I did it. It's just I found some cool ones on Freesound.
Did that help?
That's interesting. Yeah, that helped a lot.
What are you doing?
All right, thank you for your call.
All right, thanks a lot.
The free, royalty-free sample site is called freesound.org.
Freesound.org. You gotta make an account to download stuff, but it's totally worth it. There's all kinds of awesome shit in there, including reverb IR samples. There's a little bit of that going on.
My plugs are size 00. That's as high as I'll go. I've had them at 00s for about 3 or 4 years now. But I know some people who have fucking hate that shit.
Yeah,
It makes them look like they're just
Yeah, they look like they're like helicopters. They're those Command & Conquer Osprey fucking helicopter things. Or Banshees from StarCraft 2.
What size are my butt plugs? That's the secret.
That is a secret. That's
a contract.
Yeah, we in breach of contract if we talk about that stuff. So okay, let's have more calls. Let's talk to Jason. Jason. Hello, Jason.
Jason, get your shit together.
Yeah, man. Let me just mute the stream.
Right. I have a question for Varien and then a question for yourself. One about theory and one about sound design. And are you vocoding me?
Yeah.
Yes, he is, and I can barely understand you, so stop it.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. God, I love fruity vocoder. Well, actually, it's vocoded. Anyway, right. Basically, the first one is: what is your opinion on chord changes? Is it just a way to lengthen out songs, or do you think some of them can be very useful? And then the second question is to Seamless: have you ever tried to design an Owl City style synth, from his very first songs? Yeah.
I'll take your question first, dude. What do you mean by chord changes? Do you mean key changes, like modulations?
Yeah, key change. So I've forgot the actual term for it. Sorry. Like what most pop punk songs would do to continue on the trend. Or
you mean modulating?
Yeah. Where they're like, "Da-na-na-na-na," and then like the next chorus is the same chorus. It was like, "Da-na-na-na-na."
Yeah,
Honestly, dude, if done right, modulations like that, in that sense, where like you repeat the same thing but in a different key, if done right, it's really fucking epic. Now, modulations in
I
general,
think
that is essential to my songwriting skills of just being like, I'm in C minor, fuck that. I'm in G major, fuck that. I'm in X to the second
Yeah,
degree. Like,
some
X
people
minor.
said to me the other day that it was only good for pop punk songs, but I was like, well, if you listen to a lot of the Halo theme tracks, there's a lot of stuff in there with it.
yeah, and if you, I mean, one of my posers, Danny Elfman, who's done, Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands and stuff, he'll key change every chord. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. And so,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
to put it short, I love it, but I know what you're talking about. Sometimes it feels forced just to get an extra 30 seconds out of.
Yeah.
So
The Owl City synth was just a really random question.
Well, what? Say that question again, because I couldn't actually hear you the first time.
Okay, like when Owl City, before his most recent like sellout album, like he used to use a lot of like poly synths and stuff like that. I just wondered whether you've ever tried like redesigning something like that.
Well, who has made the music?
Owl City. Sorry, my accent's probably weird for you. Owl City.
Dude, you don't know Owl City, dude?
Oh, Owl City. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried.
Maybe.
I haven't. That's not something I've attempted. I mean, I might have
Okay.
without realizing it. All right. Well,
Awesome.
thank you for your
Thanks
call.
for having me.
Yeah.
Seamless, I've got a question for you. Have you ever tried to make a Skrillex sound?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't say that without laughing. It's so ridiculous.
It's the truth, but I'm gonna say something about Skrillex sounds for a minute. I've tried twice.
Yeah.
Never. Once before I knew what I was doing, I listened to First of the Year, Jesus, and that song was like basically Skrillex being like, if you didn't know, vocoders. If you didn't know that, this is what's up, because he basically had the voice happening at the same time over the bass, and so it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then there was a couple of moments where like I really had that kind of like speak and spelly sound. So I was like, all right, vocoders, awesome. This is what's up. But I actually tried the vocoder thing a long time ago because I wanted to try. I was trying to make basically neuro like noisia style basses, and I'm still not good at like actual resampling, like traditional, like re-recording it out and then detuning and all that. I still can't do that to like they can. Like if Harmor didn't exist, I still wouldn't be able to. But but their basses still had that kind of like growly vocal nature to it. So I was like, okay, cool, vocoders. Let's just try that. And I got pretty okay at it. And then the Skrillex thing happened. And I was just kind of like, oh, you can do that too with it, shit. And then I still tried to do it, but I still didn't really know what I was doing, so I didn't really do a very good job. And then the second time I tried was when I hit 20,000 YouTube subscribers and I did the 20K tutorials. And someone was like, I'm going to be that guy and ask for a Skrillex tutorial. I was like, whatever, I haven't tried in a while. And then I did, and I didn't really get it. Like, I got maybe 70% there, because, like, it's easy to know the process. It's easy to know, like, the overall, like, what they did to do what they did. But it's all the details, And I still don't know the details, and no one ever does for anything, really, even simple stuff. So, I'm probably never going to really nail it.
You know who nails it, though? Is Pegboard Nerds and
They do.
Tristan. I'm like, damn, you guys got
Pegboards are like the vocoder masters.
My favorite pop punk band, Simple Plan.
Simple Plan. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's have another question, just because I want to vote with someone else.
Yeah.
William Hibbets. Hibbets. Hello, William.
Hello, I had a question about exporting today. It doesn't really have anything to pertain to anything that you said about Skrillex, but how do I get the best file possible? Are you vocoding me right now?
I am.
All right. So, how do you get the best WAV file possible? Because I just made a track and it had a lot of automation clips in it, and it kind of was like delayed when I exported it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how to get like the best track possible.
Are you talking about FL?
Yeah, I'm talking about FL right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there's a lot of things to consider when you actually render from FL. And the first thing I want to draw attention to is the resampling interpolation. If you go to audio settings, I'm pretty sure I'm on the right window, yeah.
Yeah.
Go to audio settings and variant balances or whatever that is on his head. You go over here to the resampling next to the mixer. This is the same option you get when you go to actually render it. Because if I went to the render windows, save this, you see over here, it's like, oh, what kind of quality is it? And you get your various resampling types. Now, what resampling does is it has to do with frequencies that go over the Nyquist frequency. The Nyquist frequency is double the sample rate, I think. That's what that is. Or maybe it's half. It's either double or half of the sample rate. So 44,100. So that'd be 88,200, I think, or 24 something. But point being, if frequencies go over that in like your recorded audio or your synth audio, you don't have resampling, what you'll get is aliasing. And aliasing, what that does is that instead of the frequencies going up, it actually wraps back around and it goes lower. And that sounds weird as fuck. And any amount of resampling fixes that. Like 2-point will be fine. And higher quality levels are for when you're doing like super duper like 192K stuff and you plan on slowing it down later. Otherwise, no one's ever gonna know. But that's something to talk about, because if you don't have resampling, like if you have it on 2-point or whatever, and then you make the track and it sounds one way, and you go to render it with a higher level of resampling, it will sound different. And you can go back into FL, change the resampling to something reasonable, and then you'll know what it'll sound like as long as it's the same as the output. I don't recommend doing live, super high quality amounts, because it is CPU intensive. And if you are having CPU issues, one thing you can lower is this idea of the resampling thing. But that's that. Now the delay thing, what to consider about that is you gotta consider what plugins cause what kind of delay. Sure. And a pretty good example is, say, the fruity limiter. In the limiter, by default, the attack is 2 milliseconds. And if you do that, that actually delays your audio by 2 milliseconds. And numbers, no one heard what I said because I delayed too hard, but you can do larger numbers and it'll be more delay. There's reasons for that, but what you just need to keep in mind is that it causes delay. And so does any amount of plugin anywhere, really. Some plugins have such negligible impact on delay that it's not even noticeable. It's also not even reported. But if you have a huge amount of huge list of effects on one thing and then not on another thing, like if you're doing a house track, you have a kick and a snare, you got all this stuff going on the snare, but not on the kick. Whenever the kick and the snare hit together, it won't sound as impactful as it should, because they're delayed a little bit. They're not actually hitting at the same time. And so for automation and stuff, that's a thing to consider, is that whatever it is that you're automating and where the automation takes place. Because if you're automating in Harmor, you're automating the internal filter, and then on post you're layering on 30 instances of stuff, then it's going to sound a little weird. But if you're automating a filter after all of it, it won't be as big a deal.
Yeah, thanks. That actually helps me a lot, because I had my audio quality kind of bad on the resampling for the audio settings.
All right, that's good. Good to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thank you.
All you could have said was just put sausage fattener on the master and sound goodizer, Maximus, 3 instances of Maximus, and then Isotope Ozone 5 with the electronic music preset, and then he would have been good.
Yep.
And you bounce out to MP3, 56 kbps, upload to SoundCloud, put that shit on YouTube.
Pretty much. And the thing about WAV files or PCM audio, if you're using Logic, is it's gonna be fine. Even if you render a 16 or 24 or 32, depending on what you're gonna do with it, 32 might matter to you. But the real benefit of 16-bit or 24-bit is really only at the origination of recording something. If you're recording through a microphone, like drums or whatever, 24-bit is better than 16-bit for reasons. But for rendering stuff or having samples, especially if you're me and everything you do is at 0 dB no matter what, then the other 20 or so bits are kind of meaningless. So that's my thing on that. Let's have more call.
No, I've got chat
Oh, wait,
questions to
chat
answer.
questions. Okay,
Hold up.
Varian wants a chat question.
Hold up. Ask me your chat questions. I will wait for the delay.
All right, Varian is the champion of the chat.
Do it.
What you had to run your mic through FL before it goes through Skype. I have an audio interface with microphone inputs, so then FL can route them in. And then I have this thing. You saw it. You might have seen it if you were in the pre-show. Oops, I closed it. This thing is the Fire Studio Project's actual internal driver mixer. And the reason why I'm using this is because I'm using it for the mixer, the interface itself, to actually route audio out a third and fourth output into the inputs of 1 and 2. So it's all. One day I'm going to do a video describing all this because it's a very often asked question, but that's the gist.
Can I talk about mixing orchestral music? Yes, absolutely. Mixing orchestral music is all about knowing how a real orchestra is laid out. So a lot of sample libraries will do this automatically, just the way they record it. You know, there's graphs. Go to Google Images and search orchestral layout or orchestra seating, and you'll see, you know, the percussion is back and to the left, and there's some percussion, and there's brass to the right and cellos to the right, and you'll see. And basically you try to recreate that with panning, reverb. Obviously, the more reverb, the further back it's going to be. And yeah, just try to match a graph and make it sound cohesive. Orchestral music is really easy to mix. And remember not to make it loud. Don't make it loud unless you want it to be loud on purpose. It needs to be dynamic. It needs to have ups and downs. So
over compressed orchestra music sounds really bad. Like,
yes, it
I've run
sounds
into
like
that
shit.
problem.
How do I get my basses to sound so wet? Vocodex. Same thing, similar to what AE5 does. It's just vocoding using, let's see. Can I recommend some orchestral instrument sample libraries that aren't ridiculously expensive? That's hard to say, dude. It depends on quality. If you don't want to spend anything, I would suggest looking into sound fonts. It's similar what was used on early video game consoles, but they've come a long way for PC.
I particularly recommend a sound font called Squid Font Orchestral.
Okay, there you go.
Long ass time ago. That was like
know.
the first library I used for orchestra stuff.
AU5 and Fractal, would I like to work with them? Absolutely. They are phenomenal producers, and they know how to write a damn good melody, and they are going to be really big next year. Let's see.
How useful is an audio interface when making electronic music? That depends a lot. Like, I have an interface, and I have the interface that I have because I wanted to record metal bands. Like, that's actually what my plan for like a career was. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So I have 2 Fire Studio projects, which I daisy chained for 16 inputs. That's unbelievable overkill for just doing like only electronic stuff. The good part about having an audio interface, really any audio interface, is that it is usually a lot better at processing audio than anything any computer ever has already, like internally. These days, most computers are actually pretty good because technology is awesome, but interface is still better if you just have one. But you don't need to go like get a $2,000 RME interface just to make, big room house. But if you're like, you can get like a tiny, like I have an M Audio fast track, like one of those, like with one input kind of thing. So you can record voice, you can record a guitar, DI or something. You can have a mic and record whatever else you want to record, just as long as you're doing one track at a time. And for most like EDM artists, it's probably fine,
I have a really basic audio interface. I'm anti-hardware.
Anti-hardware.
The only hardware that I like to use is like MIDI keyboards and stuff. I think this is like my personal experience, is the more I've met a lot of people who are like, dude, I've got my X1 compressor linked up to my 5150s, like, like they name all these like synths they have. And then like you see their studio and it's like it looks like a freaking
spaceship.
Yeah. And then I'm like, cool, let me hear the music, and it's like boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, that sounds like fucking 3x OSC on default setting. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
How do you do your guitar stuff?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
I can't do that.
Okay.
I can't do that.
All right. Never mind. Question
What
rescinded.
effects did I put on the screams on Immortal Kiss? I put the effect known as being Cell Dweller. That's the effect that I put on the screams.
There you go.
How do you get a professional sound in terms of mastering? You hire someone to do it for you. I don't master my own tracks. I mastered Baphomet's Casino and Immortal Kiss because they were free tracks. But usually when releasing with a label, they have their own engineers.
Who does... I guess I'll ask that question later, but I'm not a guitar sound thief. I've only ever tried to steal one guitar sound, and I couldn't even do it.
I don't steal guitar sounds. It's just a secret. That's the only thing I really can't share, and I don't wish to share.
He's got to think.
I'll share anything else, but my guitar is.
What did you layer on top of the guitar for the breakdown on Immortal Kiss?
Yeah, Silent One. It was like an acid based synth, and I just put distortion, and they actually blended together really nicely and created this cool sort of industrial sound. So, share my body. I can't do a track breakdown of Toothless Hawkins because Razahel was the one who finished the track. So I did a lot of the composition and I did a very basic mock-up. And then I sent the stems to him, and he was the main guy who did a lot of the detail work on the drop. So he has the final product and I don't. It's kind of like a collab. So if I were to share the breakdown, it would be like, hey, check out this cool like drum fill that I did. It's like I can't share like anything special.
Awesome. Let's have
why does everyone think Silent One is special? Because it is very simple. It's very special because there's lots of amazing banks out there that you can download and purchase, and you can get some really phenomenal sounds out of there.
Someone one time did a comparison of a whole bunch of synths and analyzed how their saw wave looked. They looked at 3X OSC, Razor. They might have looked at Harmer. They looked at Silent, and they looked at Massive. And they looked at what their saw wave looked like when you looked at it really close. And if you look at an analog saw wave, like super zoom in, also a square wave, you'll notice that it's built up of a whole bunch of sine waves. Like that's kind of because hardware, and also that's how physics works. But the digital signal for Silent saw was like completely sharp, like full on, not a recreation of an analog saw wave. It was 100% sharp saw wave, which I mean, it will come out of your speakers as being more like the analog saw wave because the speaker can't do that for real. But that was an interesting sort of thing I learned about Silent one time.
Sure.
So let's have...
What's the question about headphones? I don't like headphones. I don't produce in headphones. I will never produce in headphones. I am always the 3-point check kind of mix guy. Like I like to mix mainly on monitors, test it out in my car, which has like decent quality speakers, and then I listen on iPod, like earbuds. And if it sounds good across the board and I'm happy with it, then I just ship it off to mastering. But I do not like headphones at all. And the headphones that I do see people using, actual like producers that are like an EDM, they all use Beats. I don't know if it's a sponsorship thing but they all swear by it.
BT uses Beats.
I think they sound decent, but I've never like produced with.
I have a pair of Sennheiser 280 HDs that I got back when I lived in an apartment, and I also didn't even really have studio monitors, so I didn't really like that was a step up for me at the time, and also it enabled me to be loud whenever I wanted to be. I haven't used headphones in a production capacity probably in like 7 years, and however, some people who know more about these things than I do like to say that when you have headphones and you're using them, you are more able to get a sort of accurate, and I mean like clinically accurate, stereo image of whatever you're doing. Like if you got good enough like stereo studio monitor set up, you're fine. Like you'll get a good stereo image. Not going to be unbalanced or whatever, but headphones will enable you to really like know if something is unbalanced in a particular way that you don't want. But also that could be misleading just because of like it's actually like on your ears and like linear, so that can be a danger as well.
Right.
All right.
Do
so
I
let's
use any other scale modes besides major and natural minor? Harmonic minor is my favorite. Baphomet's Casino, the harpsichord intro is a fugue written in harmonic minor. I'm also a big fan of like Lydian and Phrygian modes. I think they sound very, very cool. And I'm sure it's apparent across a lot of melodies that I've written what I gravitate towards. But I like to keep it interesting.
If you didn't know what modes are, just for a second,
yes,
you can like it's sort of a throwback to what we were talking about earlier about whole steps and half steps. A scale type is basically a combination of whole steps or half steps, and for modes, they are different combinations from your usual major or minor. And to know what combinations they are, all you need to do is look at the keyboard and start a root note on any of the white notes and then play only the white notes up to the octave. So like, for example, he mentioned Phrygian, and that's E. That's the Phrygian mode. And so then if you wanted to apply that to say like C or something, you want to play C Phrygian, you would need to figure out what the combination of whole and half steps are from E, and then just transpose that down to C. And then you'd get like, I'm not doing it right. That was like too many notes, but you got the idea. Like if you, that's Phrygian, and then like Locrian is from B to B, and then of course C, like major is C to C, and then natural minor, I guess is what that's called, is A to A. So if you're ever interested in modes, just mess around with that, and that can lead to some interesting things.
Everyone thinks I'm like making fun of you for explaining modes and face palming, but I'm actually just trying not to laugh because the chat is fucking ridiculous.
I did warn you about the chat.
I know you did, but it's funny. I love
can't
it.
really adequately warn anybody about
Eggs
that.
in the morning. How do you like them scrambled? See, a lot of people assume I play League of Legends because I made a song called Lilith about a little girl, and immediately everyone thought I played League of Legends, but I'm actually a World of Warcraft person. So
I'll actually answer Aether's question about StarCraft, about what do you think about a Forge Fast Expand versus Zerg? And I think it's actually pretty important if you're playing against a player that you think is going to go for a roach timing, where they max out on roaches in the mid to like what the I forget what the minute mark was, like 12 minutes or 20, I forget. But they get a whole bunch of roaches and they basically steamroll you because they have too many roaches. So a Forge Fast Expand is pretty important to get your economy up and going, but still give you reasonable protection against any kind of early Zerg shenanigans, because that's kind of what the Zergs do, is early shenanigans. That's like their modus operandi. So
you sound like someone talking about sports.
StarCraft 2 is fucking brutal.
Oh, like, I know. I keep up a little bit with MLG, but
yeah, like it's actually like I haven't played StarCraft 2 in any kind of seriousness in like a couple of years, but I follow this guy Day9 for a number of reasons. But his main thing is that he does StarCraft 2 like commentary, so I know a whole bunch of like random shit about.
Yes. Never mind. Someone said that I absorbed Cell Dweller, and that's why I look like him now. Jeez. Like I just was like, hey, let's do an 80s synth pop band, and we just became one.
I couldn't tell in
what's
like
my
the
opinion
images.
on will.i.am? I think he's funny. I think he's hilarious. I think he's just like, he's got this like weird like delusional like sort of thing going on right now where he's like, if you watch this video of him talking about Intel core processors, he's like, yeah, they good. He's like at a conference too. There's like thousands of people, and he's just like, yeah, they good. You know, we use them. You know, it's just, and then
sponsorships.
It's just so funny, and then he's like stealing all these people's tracks, and he's like,
all right, let's have some. Let's have some.
Funny. I choose to laugh.
Callers.
I choose to laugh about it rather than get angry.
It's probably for the best.
Same thing with like David Guetta and all of those guys. Like they write good music, and I'm sure actually they have lots of ghost producers, but
they do have lots.
It's just it's funny to me. It's not angering.
All right, I'm probably gonna regret this, but I'm gonna answer the call from someone named Master Troller.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, Master Troller. You're on the air.
Hi. Do you like big tits?
I do. Thank you for your call. He hung up. All right. I don't know what I expected. I'm gonna take a call from this guy. Or no, I'm not, because he hung up. Okay. Let's do past and future. Hello, past and future.
Hi. I was wondering how to make an actual snare, like noisier. They use like a synthesizer or anything like that. Do you have any idea?
Well,
sample libraries.
Okay, two things. There was a video I guess they did where they made a snare out of FM8, but they are super duper into Superior Drummer.
Yeah, I know. Yes. It's crazy. It's like it's like Technium, and they all do like that. It's like Neurohop stuff. It's like really kind of crazy how they do it.
Yeah, the FM8 snare is a bit beyond me, but Superior Drummer is the greatest thing ever made. So go get that.
Yeah, I would do that. All right, thanks, man. Anyway, cheers, man.
All right, hold on. Varian disagreed with my statement about Superior Drummer. I'm interested in this disagreement.
I mean, it's okay, but there's this new thing called legato drumming, and it's there's a company, and of course everyone in the chat's gonna be like, oh, you talk about them all the time. 8Dio is a company that it's making. They're coming out with a drum sample library, and it's the only drum library that's ever had legato drums. So sometimes when you're playing with Superior Drummer, like you've got like 8Dio Zeus, that's what it's called. You've got like these hi-hats, you know, and like they bleed into each other. You've got these like big tom fills, and it just do like it in the spectrum, they all just stay, you know, it plays like the sample. But with this one, it naturally, you would have to listen to the samples. It sounds
It does sound interesting. Is that kind of like, because AU Fire talks to me a lot about how he processes drums, and he mentions enveloping nearly everything, including pitches and stuff. Yes. Is that like related?
He's really big into that.
Related to that
personally use. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm such an asshole.
Well, it's fine. I mean, the internet, it's kind of hard.
I use Studio Drummer for everything now because I think it's the closest thing to this new product, Zeus. But yeah, it's all about. And then I layer it with electronic drums, so it has more punch because organic drums on their own sound kind of silly with dubstep.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to turn like a realistic snare into like a cone snare. Although I think the cone process is mostly about, you know, what I just mentioned about enveloping things, and you just pitch it and it's fine. But one thing I had done with Superior Drummer to approximate that was I got a snare, and then I loaded up a tom, like a high, like an 8-inch tom. And if you ever listen to like a tom, I could just play one because I have a computer with audio, and like let's load up Superior Drummer just to talk about this. Let's make sure I'm in the right FL. Okay, so Superior Drummer, loading it up, and then I got to tell it to load up the other library because I don't like Avatar.
In the meantime, I'll answer some chat questions. What genre don't I like? I can't describe it because it's like indie pop. But it's basically like shy girl sings shyly over clapping and glockenspiels and Target commercials, and it makes me. No, I like country. Don't get me wrong. I like country. I like bluegrass.
So you basically don't like indie music, like the commercialized indie music.
I can't describe it, man, because I do like indie music. I like Mumford and Sons, and I like Fleet Foxes and stuff like that. But this is very specific. It's like
I know what you
hipster
mean,
girl. I don't know what to call it. It's so specific. I like all music, dude.
I went to a performing arts high school, so like I encountered a lot of that.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like, and the bushes went to.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I have here a snare and a tom, and the reason why I load the tom, because if I hit this and look at the EQ, watch what like you can see it, like the fundamental tone kind of down a little bit, and that's a pretty big part of how the cone sound works. And if if I were to like overdrive this into a soft saturated limiter, like so. I mean, I'll turn off the ambient stuff because I just want the direct sample. Let's see, snare. Let's just solo all the snares and then solo all the tom, or like that one tom, which I think is this guy. Yeah, and I'll center it. Let's not have the snare bottom because
I'm not gonna tour you through my house. No.
There it is.
Sorry.
So I have the snare and the tom. Now, the thing you want to do, like this is what people talk about, like tuning your drums, and I have the right, okay, we're tuning your drums because what I want to have happen is I want the fundamental of the snare and the tom to match up. Now, fortunately, this particular snare's transients are so fast that they don't really interact with the dropping motion of the tom. So here we see that the snare's fundamentals at like 219 hertz, and the tom's fundamental starts at like 166. So I'm going to pitch down the snare. Actually, I'm going to pitch to the tom. Let's do that. I'll just make a bunch of notes so I can see it.
It's not true that I hate Monster Cat. I actually love them to death. Mike is one of my best friends, and I do a lot of stuff for them behind the scenes, and
there it is.
Couldn't love more, actually.
So now they match. They match pitch, anyway. So then what you basically do is you distort it.
Well, it would make sense, except I would go about doing that completely differently. I would probably just sample Slipknot, or I would sample a trash can or something.
That's kind of that. I'd probably do a better job with Maximus just for the enveloping options, but then what you could do is you could, in Superior Drummer anyway, you can make the release much sharper.
I have to go soon.
There we go.
I have to go soon.
You have to go soon? Well, we're done in about 10 minutes. So,
10 minutes?
10 minutes. Where you got to run off to.
Let me knock out a few chat questions.
All right, let's do chat questions.
And no, it wasn't a cheeky twerk. I got a note, a note from somebody under my door. Let's see. Ask your questions. I'm going to be answering them, knocking them out left and right. Muhammad Ali, let's do it.
Do you use Alberton Live?
No. No Slipknot remix. I don't want to tour you around my house. I do compose with the MIDI keyboard. It's how I write all my stuff. What monitor is KRK's? How big is my shed? I don't know what that means. How much time do you think you would need to be signed after developing your skills? Don't worry about getting signed. Worry about making good music. Definitely trap over big room. Computer specs, mainly just 20 gigs of RAM and like 10 terabytes. Holy crap. Take my shirt off? No. Do I sausage? I sausage fatten my massive.
Do I haunt? I don't know what that means.
Do I like mudkips? Yes. I like
What do you think of
What are
Adam
the habits
F5
of successful producers? They all work out, they all meditate, and they all know exactly what they want to get in life. When's the next tutorial? Hopefully by the end of the year. I hate trap. No, I love trap. I would. Too fast. I don't know what's going on. My life is. Favorite sample library? Los Angeles scoring strings.
LASS.
And Project Sam Lumina. Do I play Alliance or Horde on WoW? I play Alliance Combat Rogue. How do I make music? I just do it. Who coined the phrase? Coined the phrase. Whoever invented. I don't know.
Whoever invented coins and phrases.
Exactly. Do you Nitro Fun? I like them a lot.
West Side
I
Pianos.
place an F minor chord and transpose it. It sounds terrible. I don't know. Are you sure you're transposing it right? How do you make money out of music? You never stop making it, and eventually someone starts paying you for it. Gaming channel, yes, I would love that, but I don't have the time for it. Do I even lift? I lift every morning at 7 a.m., except for Saturdays and Sundays. What mic is good for recording? I don't know specifics about hardware.
Oh, Jesus. I know who Master Troller is.
Let's see. Would you like to work with 7 lines? You bet. What is my CPU? I think it's like 3 point something. How much do I bench? 135. Wow, it stopped.
All right. So
wow, I think I actually slayed the beast.
That was a good lightning round there. All right, let's have a caller before Varian's got to go.
Yeah, because I got to get some food. My blood sugar's dropping.
All right. Let's have one caller and then Varian can blood sugar. All right, it's been 7 seconds, guys. All right,
my opinion on KRK monitors is that I use them, and I love them.
Hello, this guy.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. I got a question about some technical stuff. Like, when my CPU sucks, so I switch over to AZ overall, or whatever the fuck it's called, and it doesn't output stereo.
Wow.
And it pisses me off.
Okay. That's a bit of an odd problem. It's possible.
Yeah, it is.
It's possible that ASIO for all isn't. If you go to the advanced settings, you might see that certain outputs are turned on or off, and make sure that you have at least 2 that are on.
Okay.
That's what I got to say about that, because I haven't used ASIO for all in a long time.
How do I get all the honey?
What do you use?
I have specific drivers for my audio interface, which is a PreSonus Fire Studio project.
Tech support. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your call.
Yeah, thank you for answering it.
Have
all
a
right,
good day.
I need to go get some groceries, bro, because my blood sugar's dropping.
All right, this is a pretty good time. I think this stream has been a resounding success.
It's been interesting.
It has been interesting.
It's been an interesting ride. Follow me on Facebook if you don't. Follow me on everything, Varian Official. If you do, unfollow me and then follow me again.
Yes, that'll confuse social media networking forever.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you have any questions about any of this, let us know. And as usual, have a nice day.